The Lavender Odyssey Chapter 1 continued. Preparing for our next date, I bought a large bowl of African violets and collected as many candles as I could find. And I set them up in my room so there would be no need for electric light. I bought raspberries, strawberries, cream, and other delicacies. It was to be a romantic interlude, and being in Switzerland added another level of ambience. I invited her to my room. It seemed like the most natural thing to do. I didn't have a plan to seduce her or anything like that. She knocked on the door, she entered, and the candlelight did the rest. We made love. It was as natural as anything could be, a consummation of our union that had begun with a mental climax on the golf course. Our sex was relaxed, and passion rose and waned like waves in an ocean of bliss. It was like a meditation, the climax being transcendental rather than physical. Transcendental sex that brought two separate beings together into unity, into the celestial realms. And that's how it was for us, the first time and every time thereafter. The next day, after the morning session, I asked Michael out for coffee and dessert. We walked through the cobbled streets of the old town. It was March, and there was a chill in the air. The boutiques and cafes were decorated with flower motifs painted around doors and window shutters. The chalets higher up were stained dark brown, but at the lower levels the older houses were white with concrete walls about 1 meter thick. The windows were small and shuttered, and inside the rooms were dark. We leisurely browsed through a gift shop on our way to the cafe. A proprietor of a cuckoo clock establishment scolded us for handling the merchandise. "If you touch, you must buy," she said harshly in English. In the cafe, we sat at a table by the window and near an open fire burning logs. The waitress came to our table carrying a patisserie tray. Michael contemplated the chocolate cream puffs and asked the waitress their name. "Pets de Sieur," the waitress said, smiling. "And that means?" Michael asked. "You don't want to know," I said. "Yes, I do." "Nuns' farts," I said, laughing. "I beg your pardon. I said you didn't want to know." The waitress served us, and we soaked in the cozy atmosphere. "What have you been doing since Spain?" Michael asked. "I went back to Montreal and worked at the center there. What about you? You're on international staff." Maharishi tested me, but by the time I'd passed, all the transportation had left, and so Maharishi asked me to go with him to Switzerland and be on staff. "But what about your kids?" "They're being looked after. I was thinking about going to Norway." "Did you come from Montreal?" "No, I was tongue-tied. My mind and my mouth couldn't coordinate. In the freeze frame, a girl from the chorus passed by our table, and Michael's attention went elsewhere. "That's a beautiful sweater. Did you make it?" she asked. I felt interrupted, and I had something important I needed to say to her. The opportunity didn't arise again, and so I made it happen by going to her room that afternoon. I knocked on the door, and when she opened it, she was wearing long johns. She smiled, embarrassed, and invited me inside. "I can't let you go," I said. I know we should be together. I will be leaving soon, and I want you to come to Canada with me." She wasn't surprised. It was almost as good as a marriage proposal. "We'll discuss it later," she said. "You're not supposed to make life-changing decisions when you're on course." Returning to my room, I remembered feeling I had done the right thing. It was now just a matter of working out how. From time to time, course facilities relocate. Suddenly, we were all bused to Vital, France, to Auberge du Parc. We announced our intentions to other course participants. They were skeptical. "I guess you could marry anyone," one of the guys said. And another said, "If you've never been married before, give it a shot." Meanwhile, Michael and I were making plans. I had promised to visit my parents in England, and so I would leave early to do that. "If we were going to do this, you must come and get me," Michael said. "That sounds like the appropriate thing to do," I replied. We planned to meet in the States and then pick up Michael's kids. I would travel to Wilmington, Delaware, and meet her at the railway station. Her dad was living in Delaware at the time, and she wanted me to meet him. On the day of my departure, she brought me a going-away gift. It was a heart-shaped, purple, lavender, frosted cake. She handed it to me shyly, with her hand over her mouth. She had just broken one of her front teeth on a taco. The train arrived. We kissed, broken tooth and all, and I boarded the train at Vital. The next stop was Nancy, and as there was a short stopover before continuing to Paris, I wrote a postcard declaring my undying love and mailing it to her at the station. I thought she would be surprised to receive mail from me the next day. Arriving in the UK at Gatwick Airport, which was close to where my parents lived, I noted that spring was beginning to bud there also. My mother and father were pleased to hear I was getting married. They had almost given up hope. A week later, I was flying back to Ottawa. At the time, I was living in a house shared by 3 other TM teachers. It was there I planned to bring Michael and her kids. The practicality of having a ready-made family had not yet sunk in. The beginning of our life together was taking on a different dynamic. The first indication of that was at the railway station in Wilmington, Delaware. It came in the form of a taxi driver waving a gun and shouting at a delinquent customer. The stress of the situation was tangibly palpable, but spring had followed me there too.